Hey everybody, I'm up here, upper left hand corner. How's it going? In case you're new around here, my name is Jacob. I live here in New York City and I make vlogs, mostly. Either of my travels or exploring around New York City or anywhere else. But today I'm trying something a little bit new and a little bit different for me, at least. As you know, if you've seen the title of this video, I'm going to explain how I edit my Instagram photos and my full workflow on how they get from my camera to Instagram. And hopefully you'll be able to get something useful and something insightful out of this video. So for the sake of time, let's just get straight to it. As you can see, we're here on my computer. I'm using Windows, but if you're using Mac, that's fine. It doesn't matter. What I normally do is I'll take my memory card from my camera, I'll pop it in the computer, and I'll move all of my photos over to my specific folder. I like to have a really organized folder structure, so you can see here I have 2017, the different dates, and today we're going to work with 4.9, and we'll just look at the pictures. I've already imported them onto my computer. That's fine, and the other great thing is I've already imported them, for the sake of time, into Lightroom. I use Lightroom to edit my photos. I love it. I absolutely love it. You can use any number of photo editing software. There's GIMP, which is a free, basically Photoshop that you can use. You can use Pixlr, which is a dumbed-down Photoshop that's online. You can use Photoshop itself. I like Lightroom because it is made for photo organization and basic photo editing and tweaking. A lot of those other programs are great for manipulating photos and changing them and touching them up. This is great for just basic editing of the exposure and the sharpness and contrast and that kind of stuff. I'll go through that in a second, but I highly recommend Lightroom. If you don't have it, if you don't subscribe to Adobe CC, I think you can still get a free version. They used to make a free version if you're okay with using an older version. Just Google Lightroom free and you should be able to find it. So, as you can see, I have all of my photos here, a lot of photos from my Morocco trip recently, but the photos here, and the ones we're going to look at, are from some New York City explorations recently. That vlog might be out already if you want to check it out. If it is, I'll link to it on the screen there. But we're going to look at this little squirrel, because squirrels are cute, right? So, what you want to do is you want to select your photo you want to edit, and click Develop up here at the top. This will take you to the development module within Lightroom. You'll see your photo nice and big and prominent right here in the middle, so you can see all of the detail on what's happening. And then on the right hand side here are all of the adjustments. So what I normally do to start out is to adjust the white balance. Before I touch anything else, I want to make sure the picture is basically the color, the temperature that I am going to have it, so that I know what I'm working with. The easiest way to do that is to just click this white balance selector and find a nice even gray part of the photo. This one over here. And you can see, boom, it makes it a lot warmer. You might not have been able to tell just looking at the photo initially, but it was very cool, very blue. And when we selected that gray area, the software said, hey, no, this should be warmer. You can see the squirrel is the nice brown color it should be. This sunset sunlight coming through here is a nice orange yellow color. This is much better than it was. You can also obviously just adjust the slider manually here, which I'll do a lot sometimes. But this is nice if you have a nice even gray spot on the photo. Next, I'll come down here normally to exposure, and I use a Sony camera. Sony cameras tend to overexpose in sunlight, so I'll usually bump that down just a little bit. And then once I've done that, I'll come back down here into this section and make adjustments accordingly. Because obviously when you lower the exposure, it's going to lower everything, not just the highlights. So usually I'll come in here, bump the shadows a little bit. And if I bump these shadows too high, you can see here in the bars, it just gets really washed out and faded. If that happens, I can come down here to the blacks and drop that a little bit. There is a difference between this and what it was before, a little bit more contrast, but you just mess with these adjustments until you get what you're looking for. Bring down the highlights a little bit. And to me, that's a much better photo. I like that. If you're unsure of what one of these sliders does, if you're new to Lightroom or if you're just messing around, just play with it. For instance, this clarity. If you don't know what clarity does, just drag it all the way one direction. Bam. Now you can see that it just sort of separates those details, the different colors, and adds clarity to the photo. This is really cool, especially with this fur, but not the look I'm going for with this photo, so we're going to bring that back down. The other thing that I use a lot in my photos is Vibrance. The difference between Vibrance and saturation is just going to boost the colors that are there. So for instance, if we look at this area here, if I bump up the saturation, it just turns pure yellow. Same thing up here. But if I boost the Vibrance, this is just going to make the colors that are there more prominent. So if I bump this up, you can see it definitely is more yellow, but it's the yellow in the context of the photo. This is the yellow in the gray of the sidewalk or the stairs, not just a pure yellow color. So I'm not going to bump it up that much, but usually I'll just bump this up a little bit, give it a little bit of a punch. You can see here, especially in this area, if I undo that, oop, there it is right there. If I bump up this contrast or the Vibrance just a little bit, the colors just pop a little bit more. Not super noticeable, but it does make a difference. After that, if we scroll down a little bit more, is Sharpening. This is a great photo to illustrate this, because if we look here, the fur looks great. It looks really cool, but this area is just a little bit soft. If I bump up the Sharpening to about 45 or so, now you have a lot more detail. So let me undo that. Look right here or right here. It just gets a little soft, and then you have that nice detail. It's not super noticeable, but it does make a difference. So Sharpening is great to just make your photos just that little bit more crisp, especially on my camera. A lot of times it's not super crisp, just a little bit more. The last thing that I'll mention, there's noise reduction. You can add some lens corrections if you're using like a wide angle lens or a GoPro or something like that. The last thing I'll mention here is the dehaze. If you have a sun streak coming through, it can really wash out your photo sometimes. If you're looking for that in your photo, that's great. It's a really great stylized look, but sometimes you don't want that. And this dehaze tool is great for getting rid of that. It does introduce a little bit of noise, but sometimes it's worth it for your photos. So if you drag this to the right, you'll see it's just getting rid of anything that is not a definite color. Basically, it's getting rid of that haze, that fog. If we drag it the other way, you get that nice 80s dreamy look. But I think we'll bring it back to 0. I'm going to introduce just a little bit, give a little bit more contrast and in the colors, and I think that that's good. I'm not like I said, I'm not going to go through everything. This isn't a full tutorial of Lightroom. This is just what I normally do with my photos. There are plenty of tutorials on Lightroom if you want to see more of how to use everything. The last thing I'll do, which I don't know if I'll necessarily do with this photo, is come up here to crop. If you want to adjust the photo in any way, make it smaller or larger, you can do that. Hit enter and crop what the photo looks like. This is great for YouTube thumbnails. They have a preset that's 16:9. I can just do that. Boom, it's the right size for a thumbnail. I like this as the full photo as is, as the way it was framed up when I shot it. So we're done. If we look at what it was, click reset, and then look at what it is, huge difference. I think so. So we're done with the photo. We're done editing it. Let's go back to the library up here and make sure that photo is selected, and we'll click export. This will pull up the export dialog and give you a few options before saving the photo. So it'll let you choose where you want to save the photo. We're going to save it right here in the root of 49, that date, so I know exactly where it's at. If I want to rename the file, I can do so manually or choose some custom settings. I'm going to leave it as is. And then the last and most important thing, I think, other than selecting where the photo is going, is choosing the file settings. So Sony uses this really sort of crappy proprietary raw file. I mean, the files are good, but no one supports them. They don't work anywhere. It's an ARW file. So I usually will either save it as a JPEG or a DNG, almost always a JPEG. It will do two things. One, make it compatible everywhere. JPEGs work everywhere. Everything opens them. And two, it will compress it a little bit. It'll make it a smaller file size, but that's okay. This is going to Instagram, so it's fine. So I'll select JPEG, 100% quality. If I need to limit the file size for YouTube thumbnails or things like that, I can click that and do so. This is going to be fine. So I'll just click export. And in, oh, I already have one saved from when I was doing this earlier, but what I'll do is I'll just overwrite that. And in about 4 seconds here, 3, 2, 1, 0, it should be done. You have the little progress bar up here. And if we go back to that folder, you can see, boom, there's our photo. Let's open that up, and it looks great. I think so. That's basically it. So once I have the file saved here, what I'll do is I'll open up my Google Drive. You can use whatever cloud storage you want. I like Google Drive because it's free. I'll go to my Instagram edits folder. I already have one uploaded from earlier, but basically I'll just drag this in, upload it. Once it's uploaded, I can access this same folder from my phone, download it onto my phone, and then bring it into Instagram, tweak it a little bit, polish it, make sure it looks exactly like I want it to, and upload it to Instagram. So I go from my camera to my computer to Lightroom to my computer to Google Drive to my phone to Instagram. Seems like a lot of steps, and it is, but to me it's worth it. This is going to get me the highest quality photo, the highest quality edit, and that's what I want on my Instagram. So I hope that there was at least 1 or 2 things that you got out of this this short tutorial that you didn't know before and that could help you. This is just tutorial 1 of 2 or 3, I think. The next one is going to be my strategy for Instagram and how I choose what photos to upload and in what order and things like that in order to allow for the highest rate of success and gaining followers. So check back then when that's uploaded. I'm going to share it on the screen here. There'll be a link. And if you want to subscribe, you can click the little circle with my face on it to do so. And if you want to check out what I normally do, which is vlog, you can check out this playlist here that is just a playlist of every vlog I've ever made. So find one with an interesting title, watch it, and I think you'll love it. Let me know how I did below, since this is my first time, in the comments. Let me know. And thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.